All right, Gianni Storm. We've used up a lot of time on that one, so we're going to have to go through these. Gianni Storm, you wanted to talk about these protesters getting killed in Myanmar. Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
Yeah, this is truth, unfortunately. So Myanmar, formerly known or also known as Burma, um, their military forces killed about 114 people this past week. Among the deceased were women and children. And this happens during a brutal battle against protesters. So the protests are nothing new, of course, after the military leader, General Min Aung Hlaing. I hope I said it
Those
right.
names are hard.
I said it
Min
right,
Aung
Rob?
Hlaing. Yeah, Min Aung Hlaing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Declared rulership and a state of emergency. The reason why the Myanmar military took over is because last year, Myanmar had a presidential election and a member of the NLD, Miss, do you mind saying her name? Miss
Aung
Aung,
San Suu Kyi.
thank you, won the election. She won. The police immediately arrested her due to allegations made by the military that the election was fraudulent. Kind of like what Trump did over here, like the election was fraudulent, there were false votes. So um, since then, there has been a pro-democracy protest by citizens and demonstrations in the street, and the military are trying to forbid the demonstration. So this is the result. People, like I said, 114, and that's only the recorded number. This probably isn't the accurate number as of last Sunday. So 114 people this this past week have been killed. But yeah, and it's really tragic. A lot of people are speaking about it. I wanted to get you guys' thoughts and maybe some advice to any allied countries of, I think it's Southeast Asia. I think that's in
Yeah,
Southeast.
Southeast Asia. All right, let's start with Lizzie on this one.
I wasn't actually raising my hand. I was trying to do that. Southeast Asia, yes. Honestly, these type of stories are more prevalent than we care to pay attention to, I think, in America, because this story has been going on for more than a week, almost 2 weeks, and yet the top story in the U.S. last week in terms of violence were the two mass shootings here,
Yeah.
and you figure because this is our home country that we're going to focus on um, country business first. However, I honestly I haven't heard a lot. Maybe you've experienced something different, Neo, or you, Gianni. Maybe you, Rob, in Canada. I haven't heard a lot about this. Like I don't think people are ringing the alarm about this here, and it
Yeah.
makes me sad.
Mhm.
It makes me sad because obviously there are a lot of atrocities taking place with this story. This isn't going to be something that's going to be resolved overnight. This is going to continue for a while.
Not by
Like
a long.
the headlines
Mhm.
that it has made currently are going to dissipate by next week, and we're not going to hear about it anymore. Whereas the people who are still
Mhm.
in Myanmar are still going to be suffering. Um, so it makes me sad, like to the point where when Gianni brought this up at the top as a topic, I'm like, I saw a couple of headlines, but I'm not really familiar with what's going on. So I
I
need
wasn't
to
either.
educate myself.
Yep.
And that's just because of the lack of information, that's been made available here. I don't know
Yeah.
what to say about this, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's weird. It's but fascinating on one side because this another is also the type of story that you would have expected to hear a lot in the 80s and the 90s. And so the fact that it's coming back, it's just like I think we as a nation in America, but also globally, we've taken so many steps ahead, but in a lot of respects we are still in the exact same place
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
we were
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
3 decades ago, and that makes me sad. That makes me so
Yeah.
sad.
My
So I don't know. Like, we were talking pre-show. My experience with, Myanmar and Burma, which was the previous name, um, is not a lot. I remember the mention in Top Gun, from, as Rob corrected me on, from '86. I remember that there was a military base there. But this is also a country that Americans couldn't pick it out. The average American couldn't pick this place out on a map.
I'm going to be honest. I have no idea.
And so that
Yeah.
also plays into a lot of it in terms of how we care. But
Disconnected about it. Uh-huh.
we're disconnected, exactly. But I think we should care about all of it.
Good
I
Like,
think we should.
we should care about
Heck
all of
yes.
it. And so it makes me sad. It
And
really makes me sad.
my thoughts are along the
Especially
lines.
no, I was just gonna say, especially the number of the death toll so
Right.
far.
Yeah,
That's
the
awful.
amount. That's true.
That's
Hmm.
awful.
And my thoughts were along the line of Lizzie's. I mean, it's never ending. There's so many atrocities going on in the world that we don't pay attention to, that we don't hear about, that don't get noticed. I mean, if you know, throughout Africa, there's women and children being raped and murdered and stolen almost on a daily basis at this point. Ethiopia, you may not be aware, there's a major conflict going on
Oh,
in
wow.
Ethiopia. And then suicide bomb attack today in Indonesia. Um,
Mm, I
I,
didn't see that.
I
Okay.
got to say, you know, there's nothing really fixed in the U.S. right now, but I got to say, with Trump gone, it does feel like we've gone back to some peace and normality, and it feels like I'm still, like I was saying, disconnected to everything else that's going on in the world right now, because it just feels good that things are calmer in my world right now. And I think a lot of people are feeling like that, like, okay, there's some calmness going on, and we're not really paying attention to some of the other atrocities that's been going on this whole time. Robbie?
So,
Okay.
so Jacqueline Robinson, very quickly, Robbie. Jacqueline
Mhm.
Robinson just pointed out. Oh my God, never mind. Her
Lost it.
comment
Oh, it went
disappeared.
away.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to
Oh,
go
boo.
to the
Go ahead, Robbie. We're
main.
running low on time.
Yeah. So, thank you, Johnny, for bringing this story forward, because the conflict in Myanmar is something that has been ongoing for some time, and there's been a lot of disruption there. And I have to echo what Neil and Liz were saying, that now that Trump is gone, there's some normalcy in the news feed, so we can talk about stuff like this. Since the military coup on February 1st, there have been over 3,000 arrests. There have been over 300 deaths. And this is something that really needs to talk about. It made me think a lot of Taiwan and how China is cracking down on them. It's just happening a little bit everywhere. And we need to really turn our eye to it, because there is a distancing in ideology between the Eastern and the Western world. And that
There
divide
is.
is growing day by day.
Yeah.
The Western world really needs to take into consideration the product delivery chain. We are used to cheap quality wares for a reason, because they come from China. But when the ideology war grows between the Western world and the Eastern world, we're going to see that supply chain cut off. But specifically what's happening in Myanmar, thank you so much, Johnny, for bringing this up, because this is a story that's been on my periphery for weeks, but there's just been so much craziness nationally for us to talk about that.
Yeah.
Internationally, we haven't really gone beyond that. And it's really simple. I mean, in November, there was a free and democratic election. The Democratic Leadership Party won, and then the military stepped up with one of their positions that they had. The chairman of the State of the Administration Council. The military held 3 seats in the government, and because of that position, they were able to throw shade and say there has been, like you were saying, there's allegations
Fraudulent.
of some wrongdoing, some fraudulent votes. There's been fraudulent, and they removed her from power. They imprisoned her, and now they've put their de facto leader in power. It's very important that North America remains aware of what's happening globally, because it has a direct impact on us, whether we want to think about it or not. It absolutely has an impact on us. Absolutely. So, I mean, if you're feeling oppression about wearing your mask, think twice about it, please. Really think twice.
So let me just say that, I know everyone thinks that Liz E is an expert. I am not. So I appreciate when people, check me on the information that I'm putting out and make me aware of where I am wrong and made a mistake. So Kevin Brown, or I'm sorry, Kevin Thaxton, my nemesis, said that it wasn't in the movie Top Gun. It wasn't Myanmar. It was actually Miramar, the naval station in California. And that makes better sense.
Oh
That
my
makes
gosh.
better sense.
Oh, the volleyball scene makes so much more sense
The
now.
volleyball
Exactly. So not Burma, but actually
That is so
California.
funny.
But also Jacqueline Robinson's statement, she said that since this, unrest has happened, that there have been protests here in Washington, D.C. over the past
Mhm.
week and a half, almost 2 weeks,
Wow.
on Connecticut Avenue, but it has not been a part of the media. It's been all like
Wow.
I certainly haven't seen a lot of
So
coverage
interesting.
of any protests here. So that's also very telling about this topic.
Yeah.
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 Thanks, Thaxton.
Johnny, did you
I'll
have
give you props
any?
for that one time, Thaxton. One
Did you have
time.
anything that you wanted to say before we go to the comments, Johnny?
No, I just like that you guys mentioned about the amount of media coverage it received, because I actually have seen this months ago. I've seen the Myanmar, but I was like,
Oh.
should I bring it to them? I don't know. There's things that I see all
Bring
the
it to your
time that I'm
audience,
like, I
yeah.
don't.
Bring us everything,
So
girl. Bring us
Bring
international.
it to your audience. You know, you got your
But
you got
yeah.
your followers now. You got your people. You
Bring
need to
us
bring it to.
everything.
That's the whole point of it. Bring it.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So Derrick Winter says, real quick, we need to pay attention to what's going on with the voter suppression in Georgia and 43 other states with votes.
Period.
Yep,
We're
that
gonna miss
too.
out. We're gonna miss. People are missing that.
So that I apologize actually to the audience that wasn't one of our topics today. That was just due to production. But yes, that is on our minds,
Yes.
100%.
No
And
question.
because this is going to be played out, I think over the next few days, we will probably have that as a topic on Wednesday's show.
Sure, it's gonna come up. Yep. No question, because I know I want to address it. So you're welcome, Lizzie Enders. I'm here only for you, from Kevin Thaxton.
Miramar.
How many times have I heard that in my life?
Miramar.
Demetrius McMillan says, political distraction, watch out. All right, and you already got the other comments. So that's a great hot topic. Good job, Gianni. All right, Robbie.